Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. And as many people have already said, well, you die a lot more than twice in this game. It's pretty much guaranteed. The other thing that's guaranteed is spoilers here, boss spoilers. So I'm in a particular area that's pretty late game. If you don't want bosses ruined for you, here is your warning, and here we go. So, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. What are my thoughts? That's basically what the whole point of this recording is going to be. And that said, I can kind of give my 2 cents at this point. The boss that's actually being shown for the footage is basically late game. And I can say, like, I'm getting closer and closer to the end. Apparently, depending on choices, I actually could be basically at the end right now. But I'm not going to say too much more about that because, again, spoilers. And I haven't even been through all of it myself. But I've done quite enough in the game to kind of determine my feeling on it. If you try to play this game like a Souls game, you're pretty much screwed because all that knowledge goes out the window. There's some of it that helps carry over and recognize and even appreciate some of the things in game, but you have to play it entirely differently. Some people have already said this, but in Souls you have to block, even though I never did that. In Bloodborne you have to dodge, and in Sekiro you have to deflect. So blocking becomes a big thing, and if you can time it right to deflect attacks, you really get yourself in a good position. Now, this was something in particular that has been very hard to adjust to, and something I'm still not entirely adjusted to, and I don't know that I ever will be. The game is actually a lot harder for me because of this reason. And the thing is that, like, I discovered that you don't need to play just blocking. I mean, you can, but you have to be good at deflecting. So kind of what you want to do is you actually want to be stupid aggressive, right? Which I'm all about that, you know, the whole rushing in the face thing. But in between that needs to also come a manner of defense. And the sword play is great in this game. So you'll hear regular sword clashes, and then there's a variant of the sword clash when you know that the enemy has deflected your attack. And at that point, that's when you want to go on guard. When I discovered this during a certain boss fight in the game, things became a lot better for me. But it also didn't make the entirety of the game that much easier, because I still wasn't adjusted to, properly timed deflections at the end of the day. So it just made me feel better about being aggressive and less focused on trying to get perfect deflects all the time, because there seems to be some enemies where you're never really going to get that anyway. So it's all about knowing what attacks to punish. A big habit you want to break, and this is, I guess, mostly in Bloodborne in particular, but although it tends to work in the Souls games as well, where dashing forward will put you past a lot of attacks. In this game, that introduces some unblockable attacks, like flat out. Dashing forward isn't really going to help you and actually probably get you screwed over. I found more times than not actually dodging backwards in this game, and then it's backwards from Souls, right? Like, you get punished for dodging backwards, but in this game you can actually benefit from dashing backwards. There's an early boss in the game, the Chained Ogre, that will try to grapple you. And sometimes even if you go to the side, you get grabbed, so actually going backwards is actually better. So there's a lot of things you kind of have to... there's a lot of micromanaging in the fights in this game, more so than the other games. And the other games I mostly refer to FromSoftware's other Souls-likes. So obviously the Souls titles, and also Bloodborne, because Bloodborne isn't supposed to be Souls outside of, the lore, the scenery, so on and so forth, and of course the soundtrack, which is that much better in my opinion. opinion. And even other Souls-likes like Neo that came out by Team Ninja. That is very much like a Souls game, and you can't play it like that either. So it's a lot to adjust to, but if you can, you're in for one heck of an experience, because, as the cool kids say, you basically have to get good all over again. It's fun, though. You can grapple many places, you can stealth, you can not stealth. Both options are viable, because you can take the high ground if you want to be in a stealthy approach in a lot of places, and you'll actually skip a lot of fights. Or you can kind of rush everybody and hope for the best, as long as you're relentless with your attacks and or deflects, and you're just really good at what you're doing. You're fine. But in this game, there's a nice little mechanic that even if you die, if you have a certain meter filled up, which is, something that you can see on the bottom left of your screen just above your health, that gets better and better as you progress in the game. You actually have the option to come right back into the action and be all right. And considering how much quicker death seems to be in this game overall, it's a very welcome mechanic. It's kind of neat. I do like it. There are stakes as well with in-game NPCs. The more times you die, there are stakes. They can possibly get infected. And I even hear if you're that bad, they can actually die. I'm not even sure if that's actually the case or not. I recall reading it somewhere. There's a lot of different upgrades and weapons you can play with. You mostly get your upgrades and customization mostly comes in your prosthetic tools. Your one and only weapon is that katana, so you better get pretty familiar with it. I've enjoyed everything, for better or for worse. It's been one heck of an experience so far, one that I'm highly enjoying, and I'm not entirely certain if I'm going to be able to get through the end of this game, but for the time being, it feels great. I'd have no plans on quitting, and I would suggest it highly to any fan of the Souls games. Take care.